Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Total protonic reversal.
Protonic reversal.
Protonic reversal with your host, Conan Neutron. Broadcasting from a secret underground lair in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
A gigantic middle finger to everything that is rotten about music, rock and roll, and corporate power.
The thing is, though, if you don't laugh, you're going to go on a killing spree with sharpening nails.
Confidence of a hero or a fool. I wasn't exactly certain which.
Could not be more professional.
It's the real one. I choose to devote my life to. That's okay.
It means something. It means something.
And they got away.
You know, that's my take on it. What's yours?
Protonic reversal.
That's like a science thing, right?
Indeed it is. It is a science thing, is a science place, is a scientific fact that we are all up in your face. It is time once again for the one, the only Protonic reversal. Welcome to it. A pleasure, as always, to be broadcasting for you tonight. Tonight's special episode, Mr. Ivan Julian. Hell of a career on this guy. Richard Hell and the Voidoids, Shriekback, which I have a difficulty spelling apparently. The Lovelies, has guested with everyone, the Isley Brothers to the Clash. Incredible career, has his own incredible record. Really stoked to talk to this fella, and it should be great. So before we get into literally any of that, welcome to Conan Neutron's Protonic Reversal. I am your host, Conan Neutron. I'm a rock and roll lifer who has toured and recorded for over 23 years, most known for the band Conan Neutron, The Secret Friends. Music is a huge part of my life, and I use the format of this long-running podcast to talk about music with musicians whose work I enjoy and respect. Folks that may or may not be household names, but do something very special. This is episode 321. If this is your first time listening to the show, all the archives are free at protonicreversal.com. No ads, no sponsors, no kidding. But if you'd like to support the show and get episodes sooner, you can give $1 a month to patreon.com/protonicreversal. And if you like the show, or even just a single episode, please feel free to share it along, like, subscribe, or post a review. All that helps people find the show, and it's just a darn nice thing to do. Really. So there you go. So without further ado, that was a little ado, but let's get into it with Mr. Ivan Julian. Sir, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Thanks for joining me, man. Like, you're one of these guys that you've done so much that when you're doing the promo or typing something up, it's like, Christ, what do I even include? Like, there's a character limit on some of these things, and I mean that as a compliment. You've just done so much fantastic stuff over the years, and this is ostensibly you're on the show not just to talk about that, but your own record, your brand new record. So tell me about this latest jam came to pass first. We'll start there.
I've always, loved making records, and I love writing songs. But in between that, I'm producing people and I'm doing this and that. So, I had a collection of songs, and I decided at one point about 2 or 3 years ago, it's time to put these out. It's time to re-record them. It's time to make it happen and put them out and see if somebody, wants to help me with it. And, luckily, Prob the Records did. But I mean, it's, I write. It's what I do. And I try to, try to get it out there.
Do you find that when you're in songwriting mode, is it something that you do in bursts, or is it kind of like always happening and you take it down as it goes with the ideas and kind of come back to things?
The latter, totally the latter. Some things take years to write. Some things are like 15 minutes. I think you probably used to hearing that explanation, but yeah. I mean, something can trigger it I see on the street, or, a movie or a book, and then I'll jot it down. And then, and of course, I was thinking this the other day. It's like, some things just go through amazing revisions where it's nothing at all like what it started from,
Yeah, where it's almost like the idea that started off the whole thing ends up being the thing. It's like, oh yeah, that's the thing that doesn't fit. Like there's something that doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, there's one ballad on my new record called "Love Is Good" that started off as kind of a fast pop song with synthesizers.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looking back at it, I think, what were you thinking, man?
Well, and there's what's in your head when you're creating.
Yeah, it has to go through the process,
There's what it looks like when it's out in the world, which isn't always the
Mhm.
same thing, to be clear. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
I think that and the reason why I ask that is when I've talked to folks, I've had a lot of different wonderful artists and musicians on the show, but when it's folks that are used to like being in the studio or just spend a lot of time in the studio or whatnot, that seems to be like a more common method of operation is like, okay, do something here, something there, and then like come back to it, work on it, and almost magpie it together to a certain degree when it comes time for a release. Which is interesting because I think we also have the ability now, technology-wise, like everyone can record. Like it doesn't take that as much to record as it used to. But I think that we still are somewhat stuck in the idea of, okay, the band goes to a place and they go into a room and like during these days the basics are done and these days we do the overdubs and so on and so on. What do you think about the process of recording and how it's changed in recent years with all this technology?
Well, I don't believe it's changed that much actually, because even with the digital recording, I mean, in essence, you can record things in bits. I mean, you can have people come in the room that have never played together before and are not playing together at the same time, but still everybody has to be rehearsed. They have to some degree know the song. And I had a band in not too long ago and I felt sorry for them because they came into the studio and realized that they weren't ready, right. and you don't realize that until you get, you put the song in front of microphones and then hear it back on speakers and you go, wait, this sounds different than the rehearsal studio. Well, yeah. That part of it hasn't changed that much. And it also depends on, what kind of song recording you're talking about, because, there are pop songs that have like 160 tracks. I don't have any songs like that, but there are people, huh?
The maximalism of things, right? Where it's like more is better. It's not always better. It's just more sometimes. But
it's just more sometimes, But I mean, to answer your question, like I said, I mean, the essence of recording, I don't think has really changed that much. You have to have some knowledge of the song. You record it, then the song becomes itself. And then you mix it and becomes something else and you realize what it needs beyond that. But I mean, it hasn't really changed. I mean, from the beginning in the essence, it hasn't, because there was a time when there was one microphone, and you just played into that one microphone and that was your record. It's changed since then, of course.
Yeah. Well, and times change, and your technology can be updated as much as the tactics can, for sure. Do you think that did you learn any tricks or anything with this one that maybe you didn't get to before? And of course, we're talking about "Swing Your Lanterns" is the most recent record, and it's an awesome LP, man. It's a good one. I like it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm always learning new tricks, so I mean that's why I do this. I'm always learning new tricks. There are 4 bass players on this record, including myself. So I mean, I've learned that, and it's something I picked up
we got a little.
Yeah, I learned. I mean, like I said, there's 4 bass players on the record, and I learned this along the way, is that when you read the liner notes of records, seldom is it just the core band that makes the record. There's always someone else that comes in that completely changes something or adds something that makes the song or the album entirely different.
Well, definitely, and everything has its own flavor. And you got and so for this one, you got you've got folks from Fleshtones. You got Keith on Shriekback vocals.
Putting everybody together.
Do you think it was like a challenge to get there, or was it kind of just we're just putting the pieces together? We're putting together the jigsaw puzzle.
Well, no, that's the fun part for me, because I would say, there's some songs where I have ideas as to what should happen on the song. And while someone's there, they might be called in to play one thing and they end up playing something else, as in Keith's case. I never knew until recently, and I've known Keith a long time, I never knew that he was a drummer, and actually was the first drummer for the Fleshtones and is a really good percussion player. Yeah, I never knew that. So I mean, like, so I had these
Yeah,
songs.
I
And
mean,
said,
that's
this needs tambourine. He goes, I'll do it. This needs shaker. I'll do it. I'm like, wow, cool. You know,
swing your lantern. So you didn't even know that that he was such a capable percussionist, drummer.
Well, I mean, there are other
I'm
things.
almost you right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's other things as well, because there's a guy named Florent Barbier, he's French, that played in Elliot Murphy's band. So I called him in to play drums on a song, and then he ends up playing drums on 4 songs, because he's just there, and he goes, let me try that. I'm thinking, well, I had somebody else, I'm thinking of somebody else for that, and then it sounds great. That's the fun part of making records for me are the mistakes and the surprises, as opposed to having everything completely planned. I mean, I guess some kind of music warrants itself to that.
Yeah, allowing happenstance and chance and nice surprises to be part of the overall thing, for sure. I think that if you look back at your discography, it's kind of incredible, and it's amazing that as from an outside perspective, it's not as if you ever really stopped. You've kind of kept going with music in some fashion or capacity most your entire life, and that's something that I think a lot of folks find very interesting, myself inclusive. Especially if you imagine, there's a lot of musicians that listen to this podcast. What keeps you inspired when you're when you're thinking about creating? Like what kind of stuff do you pull from?
Experiences, books, movies. It kind of all turns into some kind of music for me. I just love music, and not always, the music I play. I mean, sometimes the music I listen to. I mean, for instance, I hear a Lucinda Williams song and I just go nuts, because it's the perfect voice, singing the perfect song, and how can you get around that? I mean, so these kind of things inspire me, and this is what I need to do. I mean, I found that it hasn't always been, a gravy and an easy path, but this is what I need to do. I mean, this is what makes me me. If I try to do anything else, I'm having an outer body experience or something. It might sound corny, but it's true. I mean, I've gone through it this long.
No. It's very related. Right. And I think you, I mean, like, you have that, it's the phrase working without a net, right?
Like, well, exactly.
It's all right there.
Yeah.
What does that mean for you?
Well, I mean, there are no safety nets in this business, Yeah. I mean, you could be very high and fall, and then you got to figure out some way to pick yourself back up and go. Or you can be halfway up and fall, but there are no safety nets. That actually comes from a movie too. I think the Flying Reversal Brothers, and in one part of the movie, the guy goes up. I mean, and this is when he decides to do the big stunt, and they go, "He's working without a net." And I remember that as a kid. I thought this is like the most, the scariest moment I've ever seen in life, And then I realized. Years on that's exactly what we do in our performing arts. Actually, it's like there's no, I mean, other professions, if something happens to you or if you get sick or I mean, there's generally some kind of net to catch you to help you to do to the next stage. Right. And it's not so true in music and performance and all that, and acting and everything.
Yeah, well, and it's very appropriate for the arts, that's for sure. And I think it's a circus. It's a circus thing, right? Like
it's a circus movie. It's a circus phrase. Yeah, but I'm sorry, but I didn't clarify. Yeah, this guy's a trapeze artist, and he decides to do this really scary stunt. I mean, because I think whatever, like there's not enough attendance or something like that. So he goes, okay, I'm going to do like this triple somersault, and I'm going to do it without a net under me, working the high wire. So he's basically walking on a high wire. Yeah. Pretty cool movie, actually.
Yeah, a great movie. Yeah, I haven't seen that. I think I saw that as a kid. It's probably when I first.
Same here. Same here.
I
Yeah, I
remember
haven't
very
seen.
well.
Yeah, I don't even know where to find it now. I mean, unfortunately.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's probably somewhere on the internet, I would imagine. But it's a big internet. Who knows?
They took all the great Chinese sites off the internet that you could like watch stuff for free. They're not there anymore. Yeah, I used to be able to go and find anything,
Yeah, like what is it? Like archive.org. They have like for any stuff that's like fallen out of copyright and whatever and things like that. Sometimes you can. Yeah,
thank you. That's good to know. Archive.org. I'll check that out.
Yeah, you got to kind of look for something, but if it's something where it's like not available anywhere else, like how else would you see it? Like I mean,
it's true.
Go find a VHS at your local video store. Oh, yeah. You started pretty young with music, if I'm correct, right? I mean, I think you started like as a teenager, if I remember correctly.
I was 19. Yeah, I was 19 when I joined the foundations.
I mean, which is kind of astounding. Like, I mean, that's you hear foundations music, at least Build Me a Buttercup now.
Yeah, it's true. You hear it all over. Yeah,
it's never left the zeitgeist. What were your first experiences from touring like and playing with foundations?
Well, that was touring 101 because those guys. They had already made their 3 or 4 hits that worldwide hits that they were going to make, and they were basically playing every night, sometimes two shows in the same day. They could have equipment set up for us in another city, and it just taught me how to be on the road, to continue yourself, and also how to present a song on stage. I mean, and they were kind of a soulish band, but they were wild rock and roller guys, old school. I mean, they just toured and played and did everything you would expect, and musically it taught me a lot as well. I mean, just chord progressions, because I was a rock and roll guitar player. I mean, I was used to like kind of Chuck Berry-ish, Howlin' Wolf kind of stuff like that. And they go, no, you go to here, and then you go there to the major or minor, fourth, and all this stuff, and all these chords I'd never played before, which believe it or not, I carried over on into the Voidoids.
Yeah, which I'm very excited to talk about. But I think that's so key, because just how it all fits together, and different styles of music, like how it all fits together, and thinking about it as music rather than like a series of parts, maybe necessarily. And I think that that's something that a lot of people will say was like a great epiphany, or learnable moment, teachable moment, whatever you want to call it. And especially if you're in not just playing on tour, but with a band that people know, that people are there to see, that want to see. That's
true. I mean, it goes back to even my teenage years before that, because if you listen to Ziggy Stardust and Spiders from Mars, it's basically a doo-wop album.
It totally is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. You listen to the chords and da 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 da. It's like totally a doo-wop album, but he's taking it somewhere completely different. Which is really cool.
Yeah. And I was lucky enough to have Tony Visconti on this show a couple years back, and
cool.
I definitely pressed that guy for a lot of Bowie information. They was very genial about sharing. But yeah, like the way the arrangements are and the way it all fits together, very much an ensemble, right? It's all like an interlocking pieces, as opposed to so all love to the Ramones, but where it's just like more this like uniform sledgehammer of a thing.
And that too, I mean, if you play those chords sometimes, it's kind of like it's derivative of the girl bands and
totally, yeah,
it's like, I mean,
like the Ronettes or something,
exactly, the Ronettes and the whole Phil Spector thing, and or the Crystals or something like that. The chords are totally reminiscent of that, because I know Joey, for instance, was way into that. I mean, and I guess at one point him and Johnny were together, Yeah, so it's all like kind of where you're drawing from and how you're going to make it your own, I think.
Well, absolutely, and that's a I mean, I don't want to short sell the foundations, but you were a teenager at the time, so just world opened up to you as far as like what music could be a little bit, and you got to see what it looked like in a live environment. Right?
Exactly, and they tried to convince me to tell people that I was an original member. And I said, dude, I mean, I was like 11 when this came out. Come on, you got no one's going to believe that.
There's no way. Yeah. But there was a lot of myth making, and I guess people call it retconning at this point in that era. And some bands of which, just outright, oh yeah, it's the same guys. It was like, no, they're not the same guys at all. Like, one the same guy, and like all the rest of them are different dudes. Like what the hell?
Exactly.
Which it's deeply funny now, but at the time it was just like, no, people just didn't have that information, right? And they may not even know what the band looks like if they don't have like an album that has like the pictures of the people's faces. They may not even know what to look for.
Yeah. I mean, and like myself, I mean, the Foundations was a totally interchangeable lineup every 6 or 7 months or so. I'm sure back then too.
Yeah, and that's it can be hard to find your footing for something like that if you don't feel like you're like an intrinsic part of it. But also, if you're just kind of like, holy crap, I'm playing in an awesome touring band that people want to see, that's also kind of cool as well.
Well, that's great as well. But I mean, but what made me, not stick around was I realized that they were never going to write. They were never going to go in the studio and make another record. And that's what I was hell bent on doing at that age. I wanted to make a record, and write songs. And it just wasn't going to happen with them. I mean, because they were too busy touring, like, Yugoslavia at the time. Or,
right. Everybody wants to hear the tunes. They want to hear the songs that they like.
And they want to pay,
Yeah. And we're going to let them. No, but so then talk to me about, coming back. So coming back to New York and starting up with Richard Hell and the Voidoids. Because I think that's a band that, like, to me, as someone that did not grow up in New York, and I was a little younger, I didn't know anything about the Richard and the Voidoids other than the music. I was like, oh, this is great, but like I feel like most of the other bands have been mythologized more. I think like Ramones, obviously, like Blondie, Television, et cetera. I don't know that much about the actual beginning of Richard Hell and the Voidoids, except for what I know from the amazing "Please Kill Me" book, which I think is just this incredible resource. So how did it come together? How did it come together after your?
Well, I mean, let's kind of start pre-beginning. First of all, I'm not from New York, and I'd moved to Europe, from Maryland actually, but there I kept hearing about this, these bands in New York City that were writing their own music and playing at this club. So I, inevitably thought, okay, you have to go there. You can't spend, there's nothing happening here. You have to go there. So then I put an ad in a paper called Musicians Classified, which was kind of like a Village Voice for musicians. On the front cover was a full page picture of Richard, and an article on him about how he was a downtown poet, and had the scene at CBGB's, and so it was someone to look out for. My ad was on the back page in the classified section. So when this came out, Quine actually looked at my ad that said, "Have guitar, will travel." And they called me. I don't know. That's the best I could come up with. Most ads back then were really scary. Like there are things like "Don't waste our time" or "We'll waste you."
Oh yeah. You think Pro Gear, Pro Attitude is?
I'm not going. I'm not going to that audition. Never mind.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah. So anyway, they called me down to play, and they had like 2.5 songs at the time.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought Quine was Richard because Quine was kind of conducting the rehearsal, and Richard was just kind of sitting there with these rose-colored glasses on playing bass. So I thought, okay, I don't remember the picture from the magazine that well because I only saw it once. That's Richard Hell, and that's that. But it wasn't the case, of course. They liked the way I played, and they told me their situation. They had a production deal with Richard Goddard. They were going in the studio to make an EP, and then they were going to try to go on to make an album, and they were going to be playing live. So I thought, great. I love it. And I like the songs. Most importantly, I like the music. I mean, because what I heard of, they had like Blank Generation, Love Comes in Spurts, and the beginning of a song called I Could Live With You in Another World.
Yeah, I mean, great tunes. Right?
Yeah, great tunes. I mean, great tunes, and then some of them needed, of course, parts added to it. I mean, and then I, added the intro to Blank Generation. I wrote that needed to get
intro.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a chance to actually be involved in the creation of the music. So then we rehearsed for like I forget. I mean, I think it was close to 6 months, and we rehearsed like 3 or 4 songs.
Mhm.
Okay, well now you think about that: 3 or 4 songs for 6 months.
It's gonna be really tight.
You would think. you would think that's the case, you know.
Not so much, huh?
Yeah, no, I don't know, because like Richard was just kind of learning to play bass, and don't get me wrong, I admire Richard's bass playing. I think he comes up with great lines, and he sings over it at the same time. I'm a big fan of his bass playing, but he felt kind of insecure, so before we went in the studio, so he wanted to rehearse sometimes 4 hours a day. I think it was 2 or 3 times a week for 6 months. And the production company was paying for it, but Mark, Marky Ramone at the time, Mark Bell and myself had been in touring bands. We're like, this isn't normal.
Are we like, is this how it's gonna be? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then we did go into the studio, Bell Studios actually, which like recorded the Shangri-Las and a ton of people. It was an old mixing board that had like big black RCA knobs on it. It didn't even have faders, But it sounded great. I guess. Yeah. So we made the EP there, and that's how that whole thing started.
Well, and I think it's interesting when we think about Richard Hell at that time too, because I think there's a thing. I think Ira Glass said something about it. I don't want to try to butcher it by paraphrasing, but something about the idea of like your ideas and ambition outstripping your ability to actually play them. For when you're still learning, that like it's like the ideas can be there, and your taste is fantastic, but you still need to do the work to actually be able to express them. And in this case, it'd be through playing an instrument, but it works for other forms of art as well.
I'm a firm believer in that, because I think you always have to reach to exceed your goals. I can't think of any guitar part I've ever come up with that was worth its weight in anything, that I didn't have to struggle with for a while to get to what I want, to what I was kind of feeling or hearing in my head, Yeah.
If, like, you've got like a feel, exactly. You got an idea. You got to feel. I want it to do like this kind of thing or whatever, and then like you're like, well, no, that's cool, but that's not it. Oh no, well, that's kind of in the neighborhood, but not quite there.
There's a song off my last album called The Naked Flame called "Young Man's Money," A Young Man's Money, and I struggled with that riff like for weeks. And one morning at about 5 o'clock, I finally got it. I was so excited. I ran to my drummer's department and knocked on his door and said, Vinny, I got it. Yeah. His girlfriend answers the door and says, "Will you please get out of my house? Just like, will you just please go away?"
Not down at all.
Yeah, exactly. But I didn't care, because this is something I'm glad I came up with it, but I really couldn't get it forever and ever, and it finally came to me.
Well, and for me, I have a thing where I'm like, oh my God, that's it. Wait, did I steal this? Did I actually make this? And like, then I'll go through like that second stage of like, okay, no, I don't think, no. Okay. And I'll have to like clear it in my mind to make sure I didn't inadvertently take it from somewhere else. You're like, that's too good. It can't be brand new.
Yeah. Well, that kind of comes from somewhere else too. I mean, even the things, what I'm saying, is like everybody takes or borrows from everybody else to some degree. So that's okay, as long as it's not blatant. It's like,
what is it? Good artists borrow, great artists steal.
Yeah, I think Keith Richards said that, right, or somebody like that. Yeah.
I think it's either. I was going to attribute it to someone else, but I think you're right. I think it's Richards. So okay, so you got this band, and you're just rehearsing this an absurd amount for like these songs. How do you feel about that first recording with the dials? You think that characterizes what the band was up to at the time?
Well, most definitely. It's definitely rawer, and it has more teeth. I mean, it's more edgy. I went back and listened to it like 5 years ago or something like that, and I'd forgotten just how kind of new and angular it sounds compared to the record. Yeah, because the record sounds like a major label record where it's kind of it's kind of steady and everything's good. I mean, but not by comparison to other things, but that first EP was just kind of they just let these people out of a room somewhere.
First time I heard it was on a Walkman, cassette Walkman.
Wow.
For the young listeners, there used to be these things called cassettes. Now, actually, people know.
I used to love those things.
And it was like I didn't have the artwork for it or anything. It it was dope, and it just had it scrawled on like like the little white tab, and it was like clearly like a tape off of a tape, so it was kind of like a little degraded too. And and in retrospect, I'm like, that's the perfect way to start listening to Richard on the Voidoids, because it's so immediate and so jagged, especially that
jagged is a very good adjective for it. It's very jagged, and like when you say that, I'm thinking that should have been the only way it was released on a second generation cassette. That would have been great.
I know, that's how awesome would that have been, right?
Exactly.
And it was great because and again, back in the day, not having context for something like that, you couldn't just hop on the internet and be like, all right, let's learn everything there is. Okay, well, they, their name is this, there's these people, they started here. Like, it was just like, who made this? Like, where did this come from? This is crazy. This is crazy sounding. And I, to a certain degree, I kind of feel bad for the younger generation not having that. I mean, it's great having the ability to get everything all at once, always, and then that's wonderful. But like, not having that mystery of like trying to, the discovery process being something where maybe you like listen to the record like 40 times before you even know what the name of any of the band members are.
That's true. And the discovery process, in the word of mouth in general, where like you hear of something, you're not sure where to find it. And that like increases your thirst and hunger for whatever this is that's going on, and then you're either disappointed or you're not. Usually you're not, because you know what you're going for. Yeah. I mean, I feel sorry for people that don't have the process as well. I was thinking, let's say, whatever, I don't want to use this phrase back in the day, but like, when in the 60s, when Hendrix and people like that were playing, radio stations would announce it, and that was the only way you heard about it. Like if they had a concert, that was the only, or if they had a new album out, that was the only way you heard about it. And even that was even later on when the FM radio started to play things like that. But then it was all word of mouth.
Yeah.
Are
you going to go see the show? It's like, what show? Yeah,
exactly.
Oh, they're playing on Saturday. Oh, yeah, I'll go. Yeah, sounds good. Let's do it.
I remember, and I mean, there's still things like this. Actually, I mean, the younger generation, at least in New York, there's parts of Brooklyn where it's all, granted it's all through their phones, but someone will play in a field somewhere or some abandoned building, and everybody just shows up there. That's yeah. It's
like you remember when flash mobs were a big thing about like 10 years ago? Everyone was getting into flash mobs, but it's like that, but shows.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, we're gonna show up the subway and not wear pants. All right, well, great. That's what gets your rocks off, so to speak. Then good for you. All right. How do you feel about the record? So we talked about that earlier. People, how do you feel about the record? Do you think that was I mean, it's obviously. It sounds like there's more budget behind it, right? And you've been a band.
You mean the Blank Generation record?
The Blank Generation record. Yes, I should be more specific.
I'm still very proud of it. I thought we did a good job. Our goal was to make a good rock and roll record. I mean, Quine's and my model for the whole thing was the Yardbirds. So we have two guitar players.
Yeah.
It's like none's really the rhythm, none's really the lead, and we're doing this. We're never playing in the same part of the guitar neck ever. Like if he's playing a G down there, I'm playing a G up here, and I think overall, I'm proud of it. I'm also like really surprised when someone that's 19 comes up to me and goes, "Blank Generation, Voidoids." I'm like, what? What's wrong with you?
That's actually how I was originally going to get into it, is like, how's it feel all these years later to be asked about Richard Hell? Right, where it's like, how long ago was that? That was like a lifetime ago. But
I don't have a very good sense of time, so it's okay. But
it touches people though, and people every year someone's going to find those records new and speak to them.
It's a rite of passage.
Yeah,
I find, and like I'm not ashamed of that. So why not talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, I mean, there's something to be said for those records that, again, they find every generation. Like there's people that in that generation that are going to find it. It's going to speak to them, and that's beautiful. That says something about the power of music.
Well, that's what it's supposed to be in its best sense and form. It's timeless.
Right.
I mean, like think of Chopin or something like that. It's supposed to be timeless, when it actually touches you and reaches you like that.
Did you having any indication at the time that you were was there anything in the air at the time that like there was like, oh, we're doing something momentous, something important? Did it kind of just seem like Why?
I thought the scene was going to be historical. Like, not, I mean, the whole the idea of all the bands playing together and the whole scene at CBGB's, whereas like, you know, there were so many different types of bands and playing so many different genres that came to this tiny little room from all over the country. You know, and people were from all over that came there. And I sense that in terms of the record, I thought we made a good record. Let's see what happens, you know. I mean, and the reason, I mean, I think it, like, you know, that the other bands got no notoriety is because they sold more records, and whoever sells more records gets written about more. That's just kind of the way it is, you know.
It's the winner's history of rock and roll, man.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how it works. Yeah, and one of the things so notable too is that, like, that, you know, all the different bands that are were around then. Like, it's not like they all sounded like each other. Everyone kind of had their own thing going on.
Very much. That's what people don't get. They think like, oh, it was punk rock and like everybody sounded like the Ramones. Nothing could be further from the truth. You know, nothing. I mean, there were so many different types of music going on. I mean, well, think about it. Okay, Blondie and television. What do they have in common?
They play musical instruments. I mean,
yeah, pretty much, yeah. You know,
yeah. I mean, I love them both, but yeah, there's not a whole lot of sound-wise, not a lot of correlates to what they're doing. But it's like the creative place that everyone was coming from. That same fire, that same spark seems to.
Everybody kind of had that back then because it was like, you know, not for anybody else. Kind of like if but for yourself, it's like I can finally play my own music, you know, and I'm gonna do it. You know, I'm going to do it as if there's no tomorrow. And a lot of the bands like that, were like that, which I loved. I love the fact, and this wasn't like this in Europe for the most part, but like, you know, I could go on any given night of the week and see an original band play, or 2 or 3 original bands play. You know, it was really fascinating to me.
I know you've got on the record, there's like it's like a co-writer credit for Liars Beware and Betrayal Takes Two. Is there anything about those specific songs that jumps to mind way back in the day?
Betrayal Takes Two was, you know, Richard needed songs, so I came in with this chord progression. I kind of borrowed from a little bit of a foundation thing on that, you know, on the chord progression a little bit, you know. Liars Beware was just, I mean, you know, it was just like how New York City, and especially the streets back then in the 70s, was just a total catalyst for chaos. I mean, it's like, I mean, just noise and cacophony everywhere. And especially to someone like me that had never really lived there. I'd been there a lot of times, you know, but I never lived there. So I remember coming out of the subway once at 8th Street and Broadway, and it's just like, this all hit me, like, you know, the sirens, the people chasing each other, you know, the people running red lights, people screaming. And that's where that riff for Liars Beware came from. And I gave it to Richard, you know, and he goes, well, what do you want it to be about? I said, well, is this a family show? What can I say?
You can say whatever you like.
I said, I wanted to be about fuck you, fuck this, fuck me, fuck you, fuck everything. So then he wrote Liars Beware. You know?
Yeah, that's it. Mission accomplished, as they say.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned like the chaos of the city too, because I feel like that. I feel like that record does a pretty good job of sort of articulating, like, sounding both timeless, but also very of its time, very much of that time, especially in New York. And
yeah. It's very edgy and immediate, you know. Right.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, quintessential record. You know, people respond to it. Then kind of breaks apart. You got outsets after that, right? If I remember correctly. Yeah. Tell me about, and that's Vinny from Feelies.
Yeah, Vinny D'Annunzio from the Feelies. Yeah, and then from Richard Lloyd's band as well.
Yeah, that's right. Can you tell me how the outsets came about?
I was auditioning people. I actually auditioned Fred Smith from television, but we decided we should just stay friends.
Yeah, that guy's all right. Yeah.
He's great. You know.
But if you want to stay friends, maybe it's better not to be in a band with him. Yeah.
Well, especially with someone that's starting a band with hardly no money, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so I just thought I auditioned people and I played them the songs I was writing, and it just kind of came about, and we had this label out of at first out of Philadelphia, and then another label out of Holland that released the EP that Garland Jeffries produced. And we toured some. We toured like the Northeast, and I think we did a Canadian tour. Or we went to Toronto. It wasn't in Ottawa. It wasn't a Canadian tour. We went to 2 cities.
Still counts.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I remember the bass player saying, "We're an international band now." I said, "Okay."
Well, technically,
yeah, technically we are. But then I realized as we were playing kind of just rock and roll songs or singer-songwriter songs or something. And I realized that Earth was changing beneath me because everybody wanted some kind of beat, it's like kind of things became more percussive. So I kind of changed the outsets into doing that, towards the latter days. And then unfortunately, the bass player died. That was like, my partner. So that was the end of that. I still have his guitar. The white guitar I play is his.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
The white Strat, yeah.
Wow, that's well, I always feel I have a thing that I feel like instruments should be played. So
yeah. I mean, it was in pieces in his living room. I remember, and I played it once on something, but he's kind of took it apart and is lying there. And I put it together, and it just sounded amazing. I thought this needs to be played, and I've taken it all over the world with me. That's
great. That's fantastic. And well, that's very special in this way too.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest about this. I mean, there's a period in time when, a lot of us had friends that passed from stupid, things. I mean, it's just one of those things that happen, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's you honor their memory the best you can, and then you also, continue on. And
exactly.
That's it. You worked with the producer of the Yardbirds for that. The Punk Funk Voodoo collection, right? If I remember correctly, that's speaking. You invoked Yardbirds earlier.
Oh, you mean Giorgio Gomelsky?
Yeah. I couldn't remember his name. I want to say Jojo Moroder. I'm like, it's definitely not Jojo Moroder. That's a very different record.
Yeah, you'd be really pressing my memory to remember. No, I don't think so. That was Giorgio Gomelsky actually, and he was really influential and an impresario, and I mean, he really was. I mean, he managed the Stones as well,
Oh yeah,
And but Giorgio had his own definite ideas, which made him sometimes hard to get along with. But for instance, when he managed the Stones, what broke them up is he wanted the Stones to continue to sit down like the old blues players did. So when Mick got up and started dancing, he was just like, irate. He just couldn't handle it.
Which is funny because that's like the reason why they kind of hit big is like, oh wow, these audacious fellows, that's great.
Yeah. Well, and actually, if you look at footage of the old blues guys, they weren't sitting down. They sat down when they were older, but when they were young, the whole thing was they were leaping around like that, Yeah. But Giorgio turned me on to Fela Kuti and like all this like African music that was amazing to me, like to hear that stuff,
Yeah. Well, yeah, that'll open up a whole world for you. That's you could rewire your whole.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the whole like thing. I mean, I never heard rhythms like this before, And yeah, so Giorgio was good for that. Yeah, it was good. It was good working with him.
And I think, and you worked with Clear Mountain too. I think like for that last EP, right? If I remember.
Yeah. He engineered the last LP for us. Came in and set up his Bob Clear Mountain tent. You know what that is? Like the long thing on the bass drum, is the first time I'd ever seen it, And sometimes I have engineers come in my studio and do that. And I go, where did you learn that from? They go, oh, I read in this magazine that like, this is how the Rolling Stones record. I'm like, okay.
Yes, it's like a game of telephone or something. Somebody, this is
It's so true. So many things are like that. I was once at this posh restaurant, in the men's room, and I'm at the row of urinals, and these two guys come up and talk, and this one guy goes to the other. Punk rock started in Japan. Okay. This guy in England went to Japan and saw the Japanese punk rockers and took it back there and then started the Sex Pistols. I mean, I didn't even bother to,
Where do you even begin with something like that?
Well, especially, me knowing, being so close to the truth. I mean, what am I supposed to say to them? I'm like, it would only confuse them,
Excuse me, as a guy that was there, wasn't like that at all, actually.
Exactly.
Like, who the hell are you? Why are you bothering me?
So funny.
Yeah, that's a well, and but it is funny that, like, you know, it's again, I feel like now that wouldn't happen, but because of the way media was, and you know, and like, let's not forget there was active antipathy towards punk music. I mean, it was meant to be like, it was like being denigrated and whatnot. And certain people like Malcolm McLaren leaned into that and like kind of wanted to make the spectacle of it. And
Yeah, true.
people remember the spectacle, and then
Well, they do, but that kind of thing can happen now, because I was watching a French news show where they were saying, you know, it's sad that Jeff Beck, former guitarist of Led Zeppelin, has just passed away. And I'm like, okay, does anybody give a shit? I mean, not only do you not know, but do you even care about what you're saying?
You're so close to getting it, but no,
you know,
no, he was not in Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin was the New Yardbirds, people. That's what that was. And then they, you know,
exactly. It's like, I just thought, you know, so these things, and what's the danger of it is, that the misinformation travels faster. You know, I mean, the saving grace is that no one seems to really care in that world, so it gets forgotten just as soon as it's heard. You know,
I got it. There's a guy I know who said it's like people are actively allergic to fact checking now.
Really? That's a good phrase.
Yeah, it's kind of true. You know, we were talking about outsets. I don't want to, and since we brought up English bands, Sandinista, man, the call up. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? I mean, that's those Clash guys. They were getting good.
Yeah. I knew them we opened for them on a tour of England, you know, so that's how I knew them. I also knew Topper from my days in the Foundations, because we met in a rehearsal studio.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
Yeah, okay. So wild. Yeah, we met there. He was playing with this blues guitarist named Gary Moore. And so then when I walked into the room, you know, the hall we were playing, and I saw Topper on stage, I go, I know that guy. So I became, you know, friends with all of them. So when they came to New York to do Sandinista, they basically just camped out at Electric Ladyland.
Yeah.
You know, they just kind of threw their bags down and were there for, I think, a couple months or something. And they called me up and said, oh, come by and say hello. And I said, yeah, sure. Absolutely want to see you, you know. So, you know, they were talking and, you know, exchanging stories. And then I think it was Joe that started up this riff on the piano, and then everybody joined in. And I said, Joe, give me your guitar, let me play. So I started playing on it, and it was a jam. It was like really a 20-25 minute jam that they then chopped up and made into a song.
Nice. Because, well, and it seems like that record, especially, like they were definitely opening up the process considerably to try different stuff. You know.
Yeah. It's really, a lot of it was really experimental. You know.
Yeah.
And also, like, about 3-4 months later, Mick calls me up and goes, "You got to go to Columbia and get your check." I said, "For what?" Check. He goes, "That thing we did became the single, and they have a check for you." I'm like, "Whoa, that's nice." and rare, you know.
Yeah. I was gonna say, oh, what a pleasant surprise, right? Yeah, there's money involved, huh?
Exactly.
You make money playing music,
and the record company offering it, that was even crazier.
Yeah. Well, I'm finding you for it instead of just being like,
if Mick hadn't called me, it would still be sitting there, you know, accruing no interest.
Yeah, exactly. In a drawer somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty incredible. I mean, that was, you know, one of the bigger records of the time. Like I feel like that's when the Clash were sort of like people in the quote unquote rock and roll world were, you know, starting to treat them seriously. It wasn't just like an aberration. So to be involved in that is pretty cool.
No, yeah, what's it? They're a good band, you know. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
That's a long record, man.
What is it, 5 sides or something? I don't even.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I mean, that's another thing that shocked me is like, how did they manage to make the call up a single? I mean, there's another couple of
all the things. Yeah. I mean,
there's another couple of 3-minute songs on there, but the rest of it's just, you know, vacuous. It's like there's tons of stuff, you know.
Yeah, I keep meaning to kind of come back to that and listen again. But as much as even I really like listening to records as records, That one's a deep pull for me, man. That's a there's a lot. It's a lot of time to be sitting down and listening to something. And
yeah, it's the kind of the move around your house record, I kind of think.
Yeah, exactly. Straighten up, exactly, yeah, for sure. Whereas I don't feel that way about Lennon Calling at all. I think that's a killer record.
Yeah,
that flows very well. I think maybe they could have dropped aside or had an EP or something, and maybe it would have been. But whatever.
But they were, like I said, they camped out a lecture lady. I mean, I think maybe somebody knew that they were spending their own money, but I don't think they did.
Maybe they would have behaved differently if they would have.
Exactly.
Can you tell me how you came to throw in with Dave Allen and Barry Andrews for Shriekback?
They had come to town, and in true Shriekback fashion, as soon as they got here, they fired the guitar player. Right before a national tour.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do that after the tour, normally. Isn't that,
exactly.
Get through a couple of shows first? I don't know.
Yeah, they just kind of got here. Maybe something happened on the plane. I don't know. I mean, it's quite possible.
Yeah.
And so then someone called me up and said, this band's looking for a guitar player to go on the road. And I thought, and at the time I was available, and I actually went to the same room where I auditioned for the Voidoids. This place is called Daily Planet Studios up on 30th Street. And, I kind of came in and, they played my stuff, and they said, okay, just take a solo here. And I just went wild, and they loved it. And, then they started to teach me the songs. And I think I had like a week before we left to go on the road,
to learn the entire set.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and this was, what was it, like around the Oil and Gold record,
Okay, cool.
Which had great songs on it. And I love playing with them. They were like amazing group of musicians that had like they were kind of, for lack of better terms and analogies, kind of doing a talking headset thing at the time, where it was kind of like, rhythmic, but still like rock music stuff, but it was great. And I got to, do, just out solos. They'd say, okay, it's in D. Go.
Yeah, go off.
Yeah, exactly. Go off. They said, no, really off. And I said, okay.
Did you know from Gang of Four from earlier on? Did you know Dave's band before that?
I knew of them, I mean, I thought Man in Uniform was an amazing, great song. It still is, And I kind of known Hugo Burnham a bit, because Hugo was the manager of Shriekback.
That's right. So, I forgot about that. He's Hugo's been on the show, actually.
Oh yeah. He's funny, right? He's hilarious. He's missed his calling, I think, as a comedian.
It's crazy that he's like, oh, professor of critical thinking. Okay, that's all right. Sure, yeah, why not? And now Gang of Four are back with my buddy Dave Pajo on guitar in the Andy Gill role, which blows my mind. But if anyone can do it, it's Pajo. And anyway, whatever. That's either here nor there. So
yeah.
So you knew the players from their other bands.
Yeah.
Were you familiar with Shriekback's music?
Not really. I gotta say, not really. I gotta say, no, not really, because my eye wasn't on the ground so much to college music at the time, because they were like a college band. It's like they were on college radio a lot and everything. And I gotta say, no, I wasn't, unfortunately. I mean, but after I heard them, I thought they were great.
Yeah, well, because it just strikes me that, like, I mean, even as someone that, my younger days, I was like a Gang of Four obsessive. I was like, oh, Dave Allen had another band, like, afterward. Like, I didn't even after all this time, and having worked in a record store or whatnot, I was like, oh, Shriekback, that's a great band name. How have I never heard of this band before? This is crazy. But
I have trouble spelling it as well, because I think it's the opposite of the grammatically correct or something. It's like, I think it's EI, but it's actually IE the way it should be.
Yeah, and I have a problem with it. It's what I should do. It's where the cracks begin to show of this basically being a one-man show is grammar and spelling. I'm great at composition, grammar and spelling less so.
Yeah.
So but you're basically going off, right? Like they're like, yeah, we want you to do your thing. We want you to do your thing on these songs. Here's the key. Like it does this thing. Do your thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and meanwhile, I've got this amazing rhythm behind me.
Yeah, I was gonna say with this incredible rhythm section going.
With Dave Allen and Martin, Martin Barker, I think was his name. Yeah, Martin was amazing. Is an amazing drummer. He's really great.
And was there ever any thought to like having that like be a thing you continue on doing, or was it just kind of
that too was? I mean, I seem to get in these situations like that, and Matthew Sweet as well, where it starts off as I'm thinking it's like a 1 or 2 month tour, and it turns into a 9 or 10 month tour.
Right. It just keeps going. No
yeah, which I don't mind. I love touring, but I mean, it doesn't leave room for much anything else, But no, I mean, I knew that when this was over, then they would settle back into whatever, and be in England. It was just that thing,
Yeah, it would be kind of a bit of a commute for sure.
That's for sure. Yeah.
I don't think there's any subway that goes that far, but maybe.
And I've lived in England. It's it's nice to visit. I don't know.
Go put some beans on toast and boil some meat.
The beans on toast I've actually learned to like. I mean, because it's so cold and damp in the morning. This is what I want.
It does actually kind of make sense when it's when you think of the environment, for sure. So while we're talking about you throwing in with other folks, why don't we talk about Matthew Sweet? Let's talk about that record, because you it's like most of the 90s you were hanging out with him, right?
With Matthew. Yeah. And that too was the same kind of situation. Matthew's formula is this: Matthew writes these like glistening, pristine pop songs, and then he hires people like myself, Robert Quine, and Richard Lloyd to come in and just poo-poo all over them.
just shred all over them.
Just shred all over them, and that's his sound. And it really works for him,
I mean, yeah, you can't argue with the results.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost kind of. It's kind of genius in a way. I almost kind of wish that one of these bigger pop chanteuses might give it a try.
Exactly. Really. That's really definitely. Bring it to the next level where it should be.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that's a great opportunity, right? Because you got these incredible songs, people dig it, and you get to once again. Kind of just to go off, right?
And also pay homage to the song, like a song like Winona. I get to play country, which I love. It's a great musical opportunity as well.
I mean, was there any challenges to it, or was it mostly just like, all right?
Oh no, I love music. I mean, you mean musically?
Yeah, well, I mean, musically, culturally, like, was there any? Like, I mean, it's kind of like it's adjacent. It's not like it's not a completely different world than what you're used to, right? I mean, it's right there.
Well, put it this way. I mean, Matthew was the closest I ever got to the toppermost of the poppermost. Okay.
Right.
And we play places that I would never play with Richard or anybody else, like, Albuquerque and Panama City, Florida. And I'd never been to Nebraska before.
Oh, really?
Where Matthew's from, I mean, so yeah, it was culture shock. It was just a cultural awareness of like this whole different part of America. Because usually when I toured, it was like the coast on the east, the coast on the west, and maybe going over to like Chicago and Milwaukee, and that was it. But that whole inner area I'd never been to before, or played music to before. So it wasn't a challenge for me. It was just an awakening.
Yeah, there's these whole other areas that have people that like music, and
and then their idea of a good time is going to the shopping mall. It's like, I mean.
Yeah, well, yeah.
No, I'm saying it's not judgmental. It's just culturally different if you've never been exposed to it,
Yeah. No, it's very notable, and that's a hell of a rock band.
And also Rick Mank was the drummer, who I think lives in Chicago, and he is probably the best pop / rock drummer that there is. Yeah. I mean, just his feel, nothing fancy, but there. And really there, where most people can't be. And when you take that and you put it in the studio to contribute to a song, voila,
Well, and it's one of the reasons why so much of that works and kind of connected with people on a larger level. Because like the songs are one thing, and you can get away with it being like, yeah, that's pretty good, but yeah, the songs are very memorable. But then like when you have a band that's really killing it at the same time, like that's it, man. That's
that is so yeah.
that's the dream. Is there anything that you think that other than the existence of Nebraska, is there anything that you think you picked up from slanging guitar with Matthew?
Picked up. I mean, in terms of influence, I mean, I admired him. He's a great singer, great rhythm guitar player. You know, I mean, and these kind of things I really admired. And we both like the way that when we, especially live, especially after you've been on the road for a while, when you take the guitar and slam it against your body, the sound it makes, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
These kind of things we would have fun with, and also he does this amazing thing that I saw him do in the studio, where he sings harmony with himself, without hearing the pre-recorded part. Okay, so like he'll sing a part like or something like that, and then he'll go back and do it again without hearing the part before to see if he's in tune, and then be perfectly in tune. It used to blow my mind, you know.
Yeah, I'm very envious of that. That sounds fantastic.
That's it's kind of otherworldly, you know.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's. Yeah, it sounds nice. Well, and that's it's pretty successful. Got some recognition from the band, right?
And but in any other way, it wasn't a shock to me. But one of my favorite bands is Paul and Revere and the Raiders, you know, or or the Seeds or Man for Man or something like that. Those kind of singles I always loved. You know? Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's almost without necessarily being throwback music. It's sort of certainly coming from the similar sort of places. As those kinds of bands, right? Like,
those some of those songs are timeless as well, and they're great pop songs, you know.
Yeah,
I still wear my belt on the side the way Mickey Dolenz did in the Monkees because it doesn't scratch your guitar, you know. There's a little interesting fact about the big bad Voidoid.
Yeah, wow. Is that a thing? I never realized that.
Look at pictures of Monkees. They had these big wide belts with the big wide buckles. His is always off to the side.
Always on the side.
Yeah.
All right. Well, learn something new from this show. That sounds like a great idea. I've been doing that wrong for a long time. Okay. Yeah. So okay. So wow. All right. Yeah. I was actually just thinking about the Monkees because they had that whole kind of thing for a while where it was a couple of them would get back together, and then like this one wouldn't be, and this one would be, and then it was just it was kind of like almost Spinal Tap-ish in its way. But then eventually they did get it together. They did like they got together for the fans and kind of got to do it their way finally. And it's like, how nice is that they
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they've always been kind of Spinal Tap-ish to me. I mean, it was beyond the studio. There's a book by oh God, what's his name? Tommy Boyce, I think, about, his songwriting, like the Voice and Heart songwriting team and his whole period with the Monkees. And, there was kind of dysfunctional. I mean, the way they were put together and everything, it's like
incredibly dysfunctional.
Exactly. But then again, great songs, great singing,
Yeah. I mean, you can't argue with the results no matter how they got there, but it is funny that like, and some of their attempts at songwriting were definitely ambition outstripped by the harsh reality of their skill level at the time. But they got to do it, and they got to they got to do it their way, and they eventually at some point they did it all together again. And how nice for them to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Good for them. We barely talked about the Lovelies. In fact, I don't think we talked about the Lovelies at all.
Okay.
So that was Cynthia, right? And
Cynthia Slay, yeah.
How'd that band come to pass?
How
did it come around first, and then we'll just how did the Lovelies come to be a band? What, because this is what
I was out on tour with Shriekback, and my wife said, if you don't form a band with me, we're getting divorced.
That's awesome.
I mean, I'd like to create some other anecdote, but that's the basic answer to the story.
I mean, doesn't get any better than that. That's.
I mean, she had a point. I was gone for almost 9 months, and it's kind of that's how that worked out. So we wrote some songs together and got some local people together. One of them is Al Matty that I still play with today, and he's played with Joey Ramone. Al has, and we made the Lovelies record on Mad Orphan.
Yeah, and that's a cool. Well, it's an interesting moment in time too, because that's that's like late '80s, right? So it's sort of like I think it's like it's a good little post-punk record,
I mean, once again, just trying to write some songs and put them out there. And you're right, it was an interesting time. I mean, I don't know. I'm not enough of a historian to call it transitional, but it was an interesting time around it musically,
Yeah, and it was kind of before there was the big Nirvana gold rush a few years later too, and then
exactly, and before Public Enemy and all that as well,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And it was definitely it was transitional. I think is the correct
Mm-hmm.
So what first going back producing music, which is a different set of skills from like playing and necessarily writing, but like what originally got you on that path and what got you down to finding the joy in that and finding like the value in producing music? And what does producing music mean to you for the folks out there?
It means to me, producing means bringing the song or the music, or definitely the song, to its most compelling, attractive point to be heard. I mean, if it starts off as like a metal song and it ends up as an acoustic song, and that's the best way it sounds. Actually, I think the best songs can all be played on an acoustic guitar. You've probably heard that before, But what got me started on it was when I fell in love with like music. One of the things was the snare drum sound on "I Can't Get No Satisfaction."
Oh yeah,
I was obsessed with it. I was like, how do they do that? Yeah. Why is it so compelling to me? And I've always loved recording. I used to bounce tracks from one cassette, Walkman to the other, and wire them together and all this stuff. And so I like the idea of bringing a song into the studio and then turning it into a record or a recording, Yeah. And even back with the Voidoids, Quine and I, the first pressing of the Voidoids was produced by Richard Goddard, Richard Hell, and the Voidoids, because we all had a hand in getting that sound,
right?
And where the guitars should go, because it was Quine's and my idea, like to kind of pan them so that they weren't both in the middle, these kinds of things. So I've always loved that process of making a record. So
yeah,
and then computers came into play. I think with 2CI was my first Mac. This thing that was like, I think I had 2 megs of RAM in it, but there was a card you could put in it.
You could expand it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and you could sequence drum parts, and I love that, because then I could take a sketch of the song and bring it into the band, the way I wanted to hear it. So and then I just kind of grew with that. I mean, I remember sitting there for sometimes 2 days programming a 3-minute drum part, I mean, just to get it the way I wanted, with Dr. T or whatever it was program. But I've always loved this process, always, I mean, I still have a 2-inch tape machine in my studio.
That's awesome. I mean, that's I mean, it's great. They still work.
They still work. I mean, and luckily mine hasn't needed too much maintenance, knock on wood, because I mean, I can kind of fix them to a certain degree, but it is a lot of work. That's why, I mean, a lot of people don't have them anymore, because the maintenance on those things are crazy, and you got to call in someone that's making basically $400 an hour to fix it, and so it's kind of nuts. But when I bought this machine, I also got some tapes along with it from the previous owner, and I put these tapes on, and I'm wondering, why does this sound so great? What's happening here? Why? I mean, because I have a whole Pro Tools set up in my studio as well. I'm like, why does this sound so compelling? And I listened to the overhead drum mics, and I finally realized what it is. It's the air. The air is not being quantized into ones and zeros.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
And there's air in between the mics and all the sources, but especially the drum overheads are like kind of far away, and you really hear it. You hear this kind of soft, pillowy sound as opposed to, this kind of crackly sound. It's great.
Well, to bring up something kind of important, because I think, especially with rock music or whatever you want to call it, I think where you lose it the most is with drums, for sure. Like there's nothing like a great drummer playing in a good sounding room.
That's true.
Like, I mean, it's as far as that kind of music, you're off to like the strongest possible foundation if you've got that. Like it's
especially,
hard to screw up.
It's true. Especially if you take all the cymbals away from them.
so they don't eat up literally the entire spectrum.
Exactly. I don't get it. It's like, whoever asked for more cymbals, in the world, why do you have 17 of them?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you want to hear the guitars? Yeah, too bad, because cymbals are.
Yeah, and by the way, let's play them really loud during the guitar solo. It's like
yeah, good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll work out great.
Glad we agree on that. We'll be friends forever.
It's such a key intrinsic thing to understanding how everything plays together. Where it's like, you can hear one of these, which is more important.
Exactly. Yeah, so true.
Well, you invoked satisfaction earlier too. One of my favorite kind of production things is one of the few Stone songs that uses fuzz, and it's kind of evokes almost like a trombone kind of part. Like horns were like really big around then. But I love how salty even Keith Richards is about that, where he's like I don't love that sound. It's fine.
I think in his book Life, he says that he never used pedals, and I'm like, what are you talking about, man?
This was a fuzz pedal in like 3 of these songs, man. It's really a fuzz pedal. It's like, all right, never use pedals. Except for when you do, sure.
Except for one of our biggest songs.
Yeah, except for like one of the biggest songs in rock and roll. Other than that one. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one. Yeah.
So, Conan, I'm sorry. We got to kind of wrap it up here because I have another thing happening.
Okay, no worries.
I'm having fun. I don't want to go, but I got to do this.
You can always come back another time. That would okay. I'd love to have you. So yeah, Ivan, this has been great. So let's just real quick, the latest record. We didn't even get into that. I forgot about the documentary. Jesus.
We talk about it now.
How's it feel to have a documentary, man? I mean, Jesus, that's kind of crazy.
The documentary?
Yeah.
Well, I was really sick, as some people might know, with cancer, which was no joke. And as I was recovering, a friend of mine's a filmmaker, and he goes, "I want to make a documentary about you." I said, "I don't give a shit what you do." It's like, because I was just kind of recovering, and he's basically following me around with the camera. And he did a really good job. I mean, people seem to really like it. His name is Jeffrey Barbier. He did a really amazing job and kind of captured different moments, that were happening. So, yeah, there's a moment about that and the whole recovery and everything like that. And Richard's in it. Richard Hell. It's great.
Yeah. Which is awesome to see that. I mean, it's obviously the heavy time in life, but it's I can imagine being the least of your concerns at the time.
Yeah. Well, pretty much. Yeah. He's like, I said to Jeffrey, "You're kidding me, right?" It's like I can barely walk, and you want to follow me around with a camera. It's like, but it was all in fun, and it all turned out great. It's good.
Okay, so we can. Isley Brothers, can you just real quick give me? I had that down to talk to you about, but
yeah, I'll be happy to do that.
Okay.
Believe half of what you read and none of what you see in Wikipedia. That's impossible. I was 10 years old. One day I'm going to go in and correct all that, but I mean,
you did just all of it.
I read it.
One hell of a 10-year-old, yeah.
Yeah, right. And I'm playing trumpet as well.
Yeah.
Jesus, I don't know. It's kind of like being in the urinal. I'm like, what can you do? You can't go around putting out all these fires all the time.
Right, exactly. So there's only so much time what people have. Yeah. So yeah, new record, Swing Your Lanterns, Pravda Records. Anything folks should know about it other than?
I'm really proud of it. It's like got a lot of great stuff on it. And like I said, Keith from the Fleshtones plays on it, which is amazing. A lot of other great musicians. I'm actually playing near you. We're doing a record release party at Space in Evanston, Illinois, which is like, North Chicago on February 22nd at 8 p.m.
I think I am around.
Yeah, you should come down. Let me know if you're coming down. Yeah. However you got in touch with me. It's
hell yeah.
Yeah, it is a Wednesday. Yeah. I don't know why they did it then, but anyway.
That's fine. Thursdays I do the show. So
There we go. Works for you. Yeah.
Works out fantastically for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what I'll do is I'll when in the show notes I'll throw in dates and a link to the record and all that good stuff. Yeah. So last thing, Ivan, thanks so much for spending so much time with me. By the way, last thing, this is a can question. This is, you can choose to interpret this however you like, but why do you do what you do?
Because I need to. I have no choice. I wish I had a choice. I've tried having choices.
Didn't work out.
No. Wayne Kramer, you know who that is? Him and I.
Do I know Wayne Kramer? Yes.
I never know. I mean, I don't know what people know. Anyway, he called me on.
I got him to agree to come on this show, but I've never been able to get him. So
he called me up once and said, "Okay, you want to make some money?" I said, "Yeah, sure." This is back in the '80s when I needed money, and I mean, not that I don't all the time, but anyway. And he goes, "Okay, come with me. We're going to go in this job." Him and I were on the 29th floor, hanging outside of a building. Okay. Pointing bricks, which means caulking the holes in the bricks and the cracks in the bricks on the 29th floor, on the scaffolding. Yeah. So, I need to do this. I don't need to do that, I actually got fired from that because the boss guy came, whatever this point, and he saw me wearing Levi's, and he goes, "No high fashion on the scaffolding." I'm like, "It's jeans." What? It's like, anyway.
Is it 1933? Like, okay.
Yeah, right. I don't know. All right, cool. I really got to go. Conan.
I was just gonna say thank you so much, man. Appreciate your time. And until next time.
Okay, right. Take care. Real pleasure. Okay, it was fun.
All right, take care. There he goes, Ivan Julian. Let's hear a song off of this new record of his. It's pretty awesome, and we will play. What are we going to play? We're going to play "Can't Help Myself." In just a moment. It's definitely a night for technical difficulties. There we go.
Through the walls, through all forgiveness, through the walls, through all forgiveness, I hear the music play on my radio. Telling me how it's useless. Holding on. I asked my friend, he said, it's got to be. I asked my friend, he said, a mystery. And I don't want to look at that thing. Can't help myself. Yeah, can't help myself. Yeah, can't help myself. Baby, yeah, can't help myself. Everywhere we go, I hear those wicked words they're saying how. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you know what else? Oh, since you came around, the snakes crawl upside down. Start spinning round. I asked my friend and said, it's got to be. I asked my friend and said, she's a mystery, but I don't want to look at that thing. Can't help myself. Baby, yeah, can't help myself. Take it down, can't help myself. Don't you know, can't help myself. Oh yeah. with a bomb. You shook my world away, and I said, oh baby, can't help myself. Yeah, 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 can't help myself. Going down, can't help myself. Feels so good, so good, so good. Oh baby, oh baby, oh baby, yeah. No matter what you do, oh baby, take it away, oh baby.
What's happening, Julian? Can't Help Myself is the name of that song. That's on his new record, which is called Swing Your Lanterns. And he's going to be playing some select dates on tour coming up shortly, apparently near me, so I hear. And yeah, I'll throw those in the show notes with all the rest of it. All right, one more tune, then we're going to be out of here. What a cool guy, right? You know what I'm playing. That's right.
I was saying let me out of here before I was even born. It's such a gamble when you get a face. It's fascinating to observe what the mirror does, but when I die it's for the wall that I've set a place. I belong to the blank generation and I can take it or leave it each time. Well, I belong to the generation, but I can take it or leave it each time. Triangles were falling at the window as the doctor cursed. He was a cartoon long forsaken by the public eye. The nurse suggested her daughter that I breathe my first. The doctor grabbed my throat and yelled God's consolation prize. I belong to the blank generation and I can take it or leave it each time. Well, I belong to the generation, but I can take it or leave it each time. Take it. To hold the TV to my lips, they're so packed with cash. We carried up flights of stairs and drop it in the vacant lot. To lose my train of thought and fall into your arms tracks and watch beneath my eyelids every passing dot. I belong to the blank generation and I can take it or leave it each time. Well, I belong to the generation, but I can take it or leave it each time. I belong to the blank generation and I can take it or leave it each time. Well, I belong to the generation, but I can take it or leave it each time. ridiculous creeper. Look out, thief, you lose your teeth. Well, you got power, now there's competition, and your bad side turn to the boys with a mission. Oh, 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 oh. Slut, I can't endure your smoking smut. Well, I just sure don't even try to bother waving as we pass you by. Oh, 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 oh,
All right. Cool. There you go. That is a Voidoids twofer, right? That's what they call it. Is a twofer Thursdays. Yeah. Well, there you go. Those are two bangers. Feature Mr. Ivan Julian. Fantastic guitar player. What a cool guy. So glad to have him on this show. I thought that was a fine time. Yeah, so that new record is pretty awesome. Swing Your Lanterns. There is there's a video for one of them as well, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, links to all that in the show notes. Check them out. Ivan Julian, lifetime of music, fantastic playing, etc., etc. Name of the show is Conan Neutron's Protonic Reversal. Thank you so very much for listening to it. You can find this show Thursdays, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. Streaming on YouTube, Twitch. For a little while longer, RadioNope.com.
As we come to the close of our broadcast day.
The show's always free. No ads, no sponsors, no kidding. Archives available, ProtonicReversal.com.
This is my farewell transmission.
However, if you like the show and want to get episodes sooner, please, please, please go to patreon.com/ProtonicReversal for $1 a month. Support the show
Mr. and Mrs. America,
and get episodes sooner. That's all it is.
anyone within the sound of my voice.
Thanks, everybody, for subscribing to the show and all the various sundry mediums. It's on YouTube, Twitch, podcast, on Apple and Spotify and all that malarkey.
50,000 watts of power.
Thank you also for everyone sharing the show around. If you like an episode, that helps people find the show. Just like
Ionize the air.
leaving a review, as silly as that sounds, does. And yeah, it helps us fight the almighty algorithm.
This microphone turns sound into electricity.
Exciting stuff coming, as always. And thank you so much for listening.
Can you hear me now?
Check you later.
Out on Route 128, in the dark and lonely. I got my radio on. Can you hear me now? 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 See you on the radio. welcome to my top 10. I'd like to thank our sponsor. But we haven't got a sponsor. Not if you were the last man on earth. She was prepared to prove it. This one goes out to a special girl. But there is no special girl. It's the end of radio. The last announcer plays the last record. The last what? Leaves the transmitter. Circles the globe in search of a listener. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Is it really broadcasting if there's no one there to receive? It's the end of radio. As we come to the close of our broadcast day, got my radio on. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? This is a test! If this had been a real emergency, hey! This is a real goddamn emergency! Is this thing on? Can you hear me now? thing on. Test. Can you hear me now?